Muhibb Dyer is a Milwaukee native. He is one of the founders of both the I Will Not Die Young campaign and Flood the Hood with Dreams. Both campaigns are designed to inspire inner city youth. Reverend Greg Lewis is Executive Director of Souls to the Polls and Milwaukee President of Pastors United. I want to begin with Pastor Greg Lewis. Hello, Pastor Lewis. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Earl? How's everything?
I'm doing fine, man. You at the Vanguard. You got out early on Souls to the Polls. Tell us a little bit about Souls to the Polls.
Well, Souls to the Polls is kind of an advocacy of faith leaders organization, and we work with over 500 faith leaders to energize the community to do their civic duty and get out and vote. You know, we're information and education, and that's what we're doing right now, especially these last 5 weeks of this election season. We're really active in community, you know, helping people with the absentee ballot process, registering to vote, early voting information. All those things are happening right now. Lighting up Milwaukee, signs on yards, signs on churches, billboards, everything, Earl. We just want to flood the city with information about getting out to vote.
You know, you and I, a couple of old guards, been around for quite a while. And in this city, as you and I knew it long ago, has changed so very much. How critically important is this election to trying to get us back to a point, if possible, where you and I were when we were young?
See, I'm looking at this for an opportunity for us to not only go out and vote November 3rd with Souls to the Polls, but also on November 4th to start working with building a block, a voting block, a leverage vehicle to leverage an agenda that we have, come up with in our local communities to enforce the will of the people onto people with power and the ability to get things done. So, this is a great opportunity with all the marching, with all the protests. Now we have to move to changing system and policy here in the city locally. So our slogan is, we're an army of faith, the power of 100,000 souls to the polls. And we want to keep as many as that 100,000 in place for a voting block after November 3rd.
You know, Brother Muhibb, it's kind of strange to say where you're the young guy coming into the picture. But when you stand next to Pastor Lewis and I, you're the young guy. But you can speak about the realities that far too many young people in our community face on a daily basis, and who may not even know the importance of voting. Let's talk a little bit about what you see in the Milwaukee that you've grown up in.
Well, affectionately, I refer to myself as just a little black boy from the north side of Milwaukee, from a street called Burleigh, that they know as the Zoo. And as we know, I grew up all of these statistics, living in 53206, the most incarcerated zip code in the United States of America. I grew up right there. And the older I got, really surrounded by a father who was always spiritual and political, and by a mother who was heavily dedicated to service, it was only right that I kind of inherited the family calling, which was to try to do my best to improve the environment. And what does that environment look like? Me and my brother Kwabena Anton Nixon founded Flood the Hood with Dreams maybe about 15 years ago. And we started going to schools asking young kids the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they would give us the politically correct answer. They would raise their hand. They say, "Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a businessman, a businesswoman. I want to own a Fortune 500 company. I want to rule the world." Then one young kid would be sitting in the back of the classroom, not paying attention, throwing spitballs. And I say, "Young man, what you want to be when you grow up?" And he'll wave me off. And I say, "Really, young man, what you want to be when you grow up?" And he'll look me dead in the eye like I'm looking you in the eye right now. And he'll say, "Don't come around here talking about no damn dream. Because where we come from, we don't make it past the age of 21. And where we come from, I was walking down the street in my neighborhood and I saw my friend get shot. And the hood told me I better not tell. And where we come from, we haven't seen our fathers one day in our lives. And where we come from, my little sister got molested by my auntie's boyfriend. And guess what? She didn't tell anybody. Guess why? They said she was too fast and she deserved it anyway." So we start calling our organization Flood the Hood with Dreams, because we believe that there always has to be a party of people. When they say in the hood, we're going to flood the hood with dope, devastation, and destruction, it has to be somebody to come along and say, we're going to flood the hood with dreams, dedication, and determination. And voting is definitely a part of that process.
So, Brother Muhibb, when Pastor Lewis and I were young, it was no question that you were going to vote, because we saw the elders before us have to get spat on, and water hoses and dogs sicked on them,
right,
before they would be allowed to even have an opportunity to vote. And so how do you, in today's reality, and we're just thinking about yesterday in our city where 18 people were shot.
Right.
And so how do you talk to young people and even older people about the importance of voting when they're struggling to survive on a daily basis?
Well, Brother Earl, it's not really an easy answer to that. But one of the things that I want to share with you is, as you know, just a couple of days I was riding through the mountains of rural Pennsylvania. And man, one of the things, like you spoke about, the realities of overt racism in your time, and how that was really the catalyst to view voting and racial pride as a necessity. Well, riding through those mountains and seeing all of the Trump signs and seeing pickup trucks almost run me off the highway with a Trump symbol on the back, and seeing billboards with Trump all over the place, it just let me know kind of the reality that Pastor Lewis spoke to. On November 4th, if we don't come out to the polls, there's going to be a party. And the party is going to be in rural America. And I could just envision them now with waving their Confederate flags, and I can envision them in their pickup trucks, and I can envision them drinking their corn liquor and saying, "Woo-hoo, we did it again. We made America white again. We made America racist again." And I can hear them and see them giving a round of applause and say, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to those colored Black guys, and I'm saying it politically correctly, those colored Black Negro guys. Maybe they were too preoccupied with shooting up their neighborhoods, and maybe they were too preoccupied with hitting on their baby mothers, and maybe they were too preoccupied with being criminals and not taking care of their children. You know how they talk. And at the end of the day, I could see them saying, "Congratulations, because you sponsored this party." So when you ask me, you got the Proud Boys that the current president talks about in these white supremacist organizations. We have pride too in our community. And one of the things that we always have known growing up in the quote unquote hood is that we hate for people to laugh at us. We hate for people to look down upon us and frown upon us. So first and foremost, I would appeal to the pride of young black males and young black females in the quote unquote ghetto today and say, look, we have a fighting spirit. We can't allow individuals to have a party on our watch. We have to know, we have to understand we have a duty and responsibility to ourselves, first and foremost, ourselves, to make a different world and a different reality. And I think appealing to that aspect of themselves, first and foremost, I think that, that may inspire them a little bit because you're right. When you get caught up in the everyday realities of, oppression and the everyday realities of poverty, and you fighting to survive, and, you walking down the street and you don't know if you're going to get shot, right? Voting seems like it doesn't matter. But like the great Malcolm X said, and this is how I will finish, like the great Malcolm X said, it's the ballot or the bullet, right? So the bullets he was talking about was referring more to a race war. But the bullets we're talking about now is the bullets that's coming out of our gun. The power of a pistol, that's one form of power. But the other form of power is the ballot. Both can be used as a weapon. How are we going to use the vote as a weapon to be able to ascertain the resources that we need so that our hoods will begin to look different?
So, Pastor Lewis, is it kind of surprising to you that, it seems like yesterday, in the twinkling of an eye, we were young and we were watching Dr. Martin Luther King, and we were watching all of these things on television. We were watching Black people organize and understand and fight for the power of the vote. Is it surprising to you that we're at a point right now where we still have to cry out to people to figure out and understand the importance of the vote?
Well, no, it's not surprising because I understand what, my people have gone through. I grew up on 15th and Center, and now I live on 16th and North Avenue. And, I don't have to, people don't have to tell me about what's going on because I just open my door and go on the porch and I see what's going on. And I know the hopelessness that's in our community, the distrust, the mistrust, all the things that, people have seen and been privileged to have been negative in action and totally unpositive and encouragement. So we have a situation where, I'm not surprised. The only thing I'm surprised about, Earl, is that we haven't stood up and did something about it. That's what I'm surprised about, because I'm saying, look here, man, I'm not going to die like this. Man, I'm going to be biting and scratching and crawling, and I'll be swinging even on my belly to make sure that things change here. But what I need is for our brothers and sisters to come along with that. There's nothing we can't do if we do it together. And I'm surprised that we haven't stood up, because having your whole character just damaged and changed, having your history disappear, having everything that you know about and grew up in, as a child, having it just be totally disqualified, having our energy just demolished, and what I'm saying is that, man, all these young people, when they was coming up, they were bright and brilliant people. And now that light has been dimmed. Having all that happen, we need to find a way to work together to bring the light back to life. And we can do that if we work together. And I'm talking about building a voting block, man. And that's what I'm talking about. People are always talking about what we can't do. Man, they told me that we couldn't start Pastors United, and we did. They told me we couldn't have 500 preachers working together with Adopt a Block, and we did. And now I'm telling you, we're going to build a voting block. And I don't care if it's 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, or 100. We're going to have a block, and we're going to demand that people do what we want them to do in our community. We're going to demand that, man, because these people need to see some hope. There is not going to be any hope unless we do it ourselves. We cannot wait for somebody to ride in on a white horse and give us our pride back, to give us our character back, to give us our traditions, to give us our history. We have to do that. MPS is not going to do it. The city's not going to do it. The world is not going to do it. We have to do it because that history will spoil everything that white supremacy represents. Our true history would kill it all. We have to do it, and we're going to do it. And I don't want to hear anybody talking about what we can't do, because I know what we can do, and I'm sure that we're going to do it. And that's all to it. And that's the last thing I'm going to say about that. And I mean it. I really do mean it. We're going to build a block, and we're going to demand that we're going to handle our local politics. We're going to find out if the mayor and the county executive and the aldermen and the supervisors, if they want to keep their jobs. Because if they don't do what we ask them to do, we're going to throw the bomb out.
So
but if they do what we ask them to do, man, we're going to support them like crazy.
So Pastor Lewis, tell us how you really feel. But so let's do this. Brother Muhibb, you got the last minute. What do you want to say?
I just want to say this. You know, I mean, we're living in the times where people are screaming, make America great again. And my question is, fundamentally, the thing that we have to think about is, has America ever been good? Has America ever been good morally and spiritually? Has it ever been good? And it's our duty and our responsibility not to just sit aside and allow hatred to run rampant in this country. Like Brother Pastor Lewis said, he talked about a voting block. When we think about vote for the hood, you know, a lot of young people, they see two old white men and it's a debacle of a debate, and they say that has nothing to do with me. What does have everything to do with you is how you view yourself. So I say vote for the hood. I say vote for brotherhood, vote for sisterhood, vote for motherhood, vote for neighborhoods, vote for those resources to come back to Burleigh, Garfield, Galena, Vine, Center, Houghton, and Buffalo. Don't sit out. Exercise your power, exercise your right, and let's make this world a better place.
All right. I want to thank Pastor Greg and Brother Muhibb Dyer. Make sure you vote. We'll see you later.